Hey all, my name is Tyler Crockett with Pure Elevation Production. Today I'm going to go through with you guys what's in my pack. I'm getting set up to go on an overnight late season archery deer hunt, and this is just going to be everything that's in my pack. I'm going to be running the EXO K2 2000 pack. This pack is ideal for me because I can load it up with the bare minimum and I don't have too much wasted room. And the coolest thing about this thing, and the most important thing for me, is I can come out with a whole deer on my back and my camp gear. So that's huge. Don't want to make more trips up the mountain than I have to ever. This pack, I can fit everything I need to for 1 night, 2 days, and if I really need to, I can stretch it out 2 nights, 3 days and still get everything in there that I need. Okay, moving on to my water filtration system. I use a Sawyer water filter. This thing is super bomb-proof and lightweight, but hunting late season, you do have to remember to get the water out of it, because once this thing freezes, it's pretty much no good. So you have to be diligent to make sure you blow the water out of it or shake it out of it. I do run the quick connect, so I can disconnect my bite valve, plug this in, and I don't have to unload my pack to get water in there. Okay, rolling into my sleep system first. So I just am trying this year the Kuiu Super Down. It's the 15-degree bag long. Pretty pumped to try this bag. It's got the treated goose down in it, and it's super water resistant. And that's good for me when I'm hunting in something that's really moist weather, to not get in a spot where my down can get compressed and I get cold. I sleep a little bit cold anyways. So in the past, I've always packed like a 30-degree bag and put in 4 hand warmers so I didn't have hyperthermia all night and shiver. So I'm kind of a sissy sleeper actually. So hopefully I think this is going to be awesome. I put that on a Thermarest pad. It's the more insulated version of the Neo Air. It's lightweight and it is warm to sleep on. So this combination, I should be able to sleep down into 0 degrees and be comfortable. You know, I might have to keep a set of clothing on or something, but this is going to get me through all of the hunting that I'm going to be doing. So my tent this year, it's the first year I tried it. It's the Hexa Solo tent, Z-Packs Hexa Solo tent. And this thing is pretty sweet. It's 17 ounces and it's made out of Cuban fiber. It's pretty tough. It's kind of different than I'm used to. I've always used a double wall tent. This is a single wall tent, but I used it on some elk hunting this year, which is basically like hunting winter. And it was awesome. It was honestly, a little bit weird to set up on any kind of a slope, but the more I set it up, the more I got it figured out. So my sleep system and my tent system, I'm pretty pumped about. I shaved probably 8 to 10 ounces off from my old setup that I had. Moving on to my food bags. My food bags typically will run about 2,000 calories, and they're 18, this one's 18 ounces and this one's 19 ounces. They pretty much have the same thing in them. I do like to take some comfort food. Well, a lot of comfort food. I take things that are not your normal backpacking stuff. I take some Lipton chicken noodle soup and I put that in my Jetboil, and that is money when you're sitting up behind glass and it's cold and the wind is blowing and you can sip on some nice chicken noodle soup like you're at home in mom's kitchen. And I also take some just peanut butter, plain old grandma's peanut butter cookies. They're probably not real good for you, but they are really high in calories and they just taste good. Sometimes it gets hard choking down protein bars and granola bars, so I'm a firm believer in take something that's just comforting food. For supper, I have tried probably every dehydrated meal, every freeze-dried meal out there, and I have yet to find anything that tastes as good as Mountain House. Mountain House, to me, with the exception of one flavor, which is horrible, Mountain House is money, and it is good. A lot of sodium. I come out of there and I feel like I have to cut my wedding ring off because I'm so bloated up from retaining all the water. The thing I use all the time, don't leave home without it pretty much, is my Jetboil. I got the blue tape on there because the cup keeps breaking, and so I just put more duct tape around it and kind of makes it waterproof again for when I want to sip on something. This thing is just awesome. You can't boil snow in it. Unfortunately, you know, if you're up and you don't want to have to hike back down to water, because it'll burn these little fins out on the bottom. But this thing boils water in nothing flat, and it is awesome. Spoon. We've all forgot our spoon before, and it's really hard to eat a Mountain House with your fingers or carve a stick out. That's annoying. So got the spoon. And this thing, I guard this with my life. So rolling on to my miscellaneous items, I run a Petzl headlamp. This headlamp is awesome. It's an LED light, so it does last a long time. And I've actually went through 2 of these things. Well, I own 2 of them, and I use that all the time. Something I'm gonna bounce over to that's along the headlamp is I have a tendency to lose items. Like I pack an extra release, and this is my extra headlamp. This is an E-light by Petzl, and this thing weighs nothing, and it's an awesome little backup headlight. And I keep this separate from my pack. I put this in my bino harness. Okay, so for my headlamps, I go to my medical kit bag. It's pretty big, but I have some pretty good stuff in there. Of course, I pack Tylenol PM because I cannot sleep at night no matter how tired I am unless I pop some Tylenol PM. I pack a ton of Tylenol in there just for when I'm sore or a little beat up. I pack fire starter kit, which is just a cotton ball soaked in Vaseline. I always have this, especially late season. That's something I definitely make sure I have in there. And this has got, I've got Band-Aids, and I pack steri strips in there, and I've got a little suture kit in there too, which I've yet to have to sew myself or anybody else up, but I would be happy to sew up one of my friends anytime. That'd be awesome. Can't leave home without the toothbrushes, because after a couple days it feels like you have a sweater on your teeth, and this knocks it down without the weight. So that's my first aid kit and kind of essentials bag. Rolling into this thing is awesome. I've been using this for probably 4 years. It's just a Thermarest pad. It's just a butt pad. So when you're glassing or you're sitting down for lunch, especially late season, it's wet, it's cold, you can sit on this thing and it is nice. It saves your butt, you don't get cold, and it just makes you be able to sit behind the glass a little longer, more comfortable. And another secondary use, since we always like to have 2 uses for things, I also put this in my vestibule in my tent, and it's a welcome mat. I want to spray paint welcome on there, but I haven't done that yet. But this thing is awesome. Rolling back here, this is kind of part of my sleep system a little bit too. It's double purpose again. This is a Thermarest stuff sack. It's a waterproof stuff sack, but the inside of it is like a nice fleece. And so what I'll do is I'll flip this inside out, and I'll put my puffy inside here, so that creates a pillow. And then this is another pillowcase from Thermarest. I'm kind of like a 2-pillow guy. I'm a fetal position sleeper, so I have to have 2 pillows. I put one under my head and one between my knees on my side. So kind of a high maintenance sleeper, it sounds like, I know. But so I load this up with my extra socks or my extra long johns that I'll have. I call them long john pajamas because usually they just turn into pajamas. And then it gives me 2 pillows, but everything kind of serves the purpose outside just being a pillow. I can stuff all my extra clothing in there, and it works really well. So moving from that stuff into my kill kits, I run the Havalon Jim Shockey Edition knife. I used to just run the Havalon and pack a pocket knife all the time, but I thought, I don't really need to pack 2 knives because it's one more thing for me to lose. So I thought, well, if I just get them both in one, I've got one less thing to keep track of. So this knife is really cool. I really enjoyed this in Alaska because it's got a heavy blade. I know anybody that's ran a Havalon enough has broken a few blades. So it's nice because you got your Havalon blade for when you really want to pull out the scalpel, in essence. And then you've got the big blade if you really want to get in there and do a little more prying or something. That blade's not going to break, and it really actually holds an edge good. So I love this Jim Shockey Edition Havalon knife. Moving on, I do pack a bone saw. I know a lot of guys don't. They don't want the extra weight. But after shooting a bull a couple years ago, like 5 miles deep, it was just a little 5-point, little raghorn bull, and I really didn't want to bring the head out, but I'm not going to leave bone on the hill. So I packed out like a 50-pound head for 5 pounds worth of horns. So I'm not ever going to leave the saw again, even if my buddies shame me for having a heavy pack. The saw goes with me, but it's just a Gerber saw with 2 blades. It's got a wood blade and a bone blade. It's a money saw. The kill kit, the bags that I use are just the tag bags, and this is for deer. This is just the bomb. It's just to fit a boned out deer in, because everything where I'm hunting, I'm just gonna bone the deer out. I'm not gonna pull out quarters. I'm gonna bone it out, stuff it in these sacks, load it on the pack, and come out. Inside this kill kit, I also have 20 foot of rope that I put in there just to have. I mean, if I need to strap something down on my pack, if I need to hang quarters while I'm doing something else or whatever, it's always safe. In the kill kit, I have extra fire starter stuff too. I love, the more fire starter stuff you have, the less you have to worry about not being able to start a fire. I always pack this. It's just a plain old Glad heavy duty garbage bag. You never know when you're gonna need this. If it's dirty and you wanna put your meat on it while you're breaking stuff down or boning stuff out, you got a clean place to put meat. If it's pouring down rain and you need to cover your bag up, your backpack, you can put this over it. There's so many functions for this simple little, it weighs nothing. Moving on, I use these Easton ultralight carbon trekking poles. Again, it kind of fits into the thing of you want to have more than one use for everything. This also is how I set up the Z-Pack tent with one trekking pole. And the older I get, the more I appreciate these trekking poles. In fact, I was hunting with someone and they actually didn't call them trekking poles, they called them old man sticks. So I like the old man sticks. The tripod that I run is the Slick Pro 634 CF. This thing is awesome tripod. It's bomb proof, it's pretty lightweight, and I run the Benro fluid head on it. It's a good setup, but this fluid head is nice. I've ran it in really cold weather and it stays good. It doesn't get grabby, flows nice. Fairly light setup there. Staying in tune with my optics, I run the Swaro 65. I love this spot and scope. I pretty much don't leave home without it unless I'm just hunting heavy timber for elk. But on this late mule deer hunt, this thing is money for me because I can just get up and I can just sit back behind this with my coffee or my chai latte or my chicken noodle soup, and I can sit there until I find a buck I want to chase. The binos that I've been running are the Vortex razors, the 1050s, and these things serve the purpose. They're good. They work as good as I need them to work. I can sit behind them all day. I don't get eye fatigue or anything. The bino harness that I run is the Alaskan Guide Gear Creations, I think. I love this bino. I never really wore a bino harness system. I'd always just use these floppy things that slapped around on me when I walked. And this thing, I can cinch them down enough that if I want to put a stock on something, I bend over, everything stays tight. It's got a pocket for my smoke, which this stuff is awesome. I go through like 2 bottles of this every 5 days, kind of addicted to it. I put my backup light in the other one, and I have my rangefinder right there. And I put my tags in the back of this. So this is a sweet setup. And another thing, late season, it's always snowing or raining, it seems like. And with this thing, it really does a good job of keeping, instead of having to stuff toilet paper in your eye cups, it keeps rain and snow off your eye cups. So when you want a glass, you can just pull them out and you can actually see something. I do always take with me, especially on this late hunt, is the Field Optics Research tripod adapter for my binos. It's amazing. It increases probably by 2-fold how well you can glass with binoculars if you can get them on a tripod. I learned that on a Coues deer hunt. It made all the difference in the world. It almost like I was looking through a spot and scope without the extra magnification. It's just that solid, that big a field of view. So these things are awesome. Camera I run is just the Sony RX Mark IV. This little camera is super awesome. It takes amazing pictures, really good in low light. The video is outstanding and it takes perfect pictures. It's got enough manual controls that you can do some cool stuff with depth of field, and you can put an app on here that can run awesome time lapses. So it's almost like you have a DSLR shrunk down, and it's fairly user friendly too. I believe even me or Lenny could figure out how to use this correctly. So going on to my boots, this year elk hunting, it was pretty wet and cold, and my feet were wet for like 3 days, and I'm basically had a baby fit about the boots that I was wearing. So I called Kendall up at Camel Fire Crispy USA and I said, Kendall, I'm sick of having wet feet. What should I wear? And He sold me on these Nevadas, so I'm anxious to try these late season. They're a little heavier than what I'm used to, but you know what, I'll take a little heavier for dry feet, because dry feet can kind of get under your skin a little bit and make the hunt not near as fun. I do have just some OR gators. It's late season. You could be hunting in no snow, or you could be hunting in 12 snow in the blink of an eye, 12 inches of snow in a blink of an eye. So I run the OR gators over the top of this. And then the other thing that I will have in my pack is just a raincoat. I don't pack some heavy big winter coat for clothing. I just have all my First Light stuff, and I have my First Light puffy. And then if it starts raining or snowing, all I have to do is throw on this Stormfront rain gear from First Light. And I mean, I am good down to 0 degrees just with the long quarter zip, Chama hoodie, puffy, and this raincoat. It's a good layering system, and it can get me through a multitude of weather. So that pretty much is what is in my pack, and I really don't know exactly what it weighs, so we'll stuff it in there and see what it weighs. Okay, so I have everything loaded up here. Again, it's for a 2-day, 1-night hunt. This is the exact bag I would take hunting with me right now. Let's go ahead and weigh it up. It's like 31 pounds. That's not bad. 1.5 liters of water, optics, tripod. I can carry that for 2 days. I know a lot of guys can pack it lighter. Some guys are heavier. But for me to be comfortable for 2 days going into winter, I'm happy with that.